We're going to talk about what you can expect out of the greater Orlando marketplace. Negative, negative, negative. Price is so high, the interest is so high, and there's no profit. And that means the market could have a very dramatic shift, and it would not take long. Central Florida, is it headed for a boom or is it headed for a bust? The marketplace is full of headlines, of headwinds in the marketplace. We've got record high interest rates, 8% we've just hit for 30-year fixed for someone with great credit. Florida has just hit the top 10 list for foreclosure starts in the third quarter of 2023. We've got a lot of things to talk about, but today we're gonna do a deep dive in the data. We're gonna talk about the areas that are doing great, the ones that are doing not so great. We're gonna talk about what you can expect out of the greater Orlando marketplace and go through the news and the data right now. Let's get into it. First of all, it doesn't help if I tease the fact that Florida has made the top 10 in the foreclosure list. We actually rank number 6 in the nation. This is a per capita look, meaning taking all the households in Florida. We were number 6 for how many foreclosure starts were initiated to create potentially a bank foreclosure action. And so with that being said, let's take a look at the Orlando area, and particularly the areas most prone to issues if there is a returning mortgage default problem. So anything, when you look at these zip codes, many of these are ones you're familiar with. Maybe you're up here in Longwood, you're in 32779, you got 66%. Or you're down here in St. Cloud Harmony area where they have nearly 71% of every home has a mortgage. Poinciana, 76%. As you look at this chart, let me tell you what you're looking for. Where's the danger or potential danger? There's not a massive tsunami of foreclosures yet. The dangerous factor of this is that it is now starting like a machine to show signs that there is financial danger in the marketplace. Now, look at places like Mineola, okay? This is a groundbreaking, recently highly developed area. 80% of the owners there have mortgages. Now, when you look at a chart like this, you're looking for really anything above 60, 65%, okay? That's really kind of the market metric where you're like, that is a lot of mortgages for a given area, okay? And honestly, a lot of these areas are gonna be above that mark, except for instance, look at Dr. Phillips, 59% in 32819 down here has mortgages. You're gonna have a lot of these areas down the middle of town, like Winter Park and College Park. Some of them are below like 32789, 60%. You know, honestly, you look across the entire marketplace and the numbers are pretty high, okay? You know, and really a lot of this depends on what's shaping the market at a given time. You know, a lot of folks like to say this area, for instance, down here in Kissimmee, 34747, heavily inundated with Airbnb and second homes. A lot of people are saying, hey, you know what? That is in crisis. It's due for a collapse. But take a look. There's 59% of people that actually have a mortgage property. And again, you know, when you have, you know, anything is a possibility, okay? Let's take a look at this. This is the year over year price growth as it stands right now, okay? So all the zip codes you see that are in blue are flat or they've slid backwards, and the ones that are in red are still piping hot. Now, as you can see, it's very clear, Lake County is chilly willy, okay? So everything out here, this is kind of the country view of the world. This area is getting cooler. You have a lot of new construction work going on really in this area, and I don't have Polk County down here, but even going down south towards Winter Haven, this is a lot of new construction competing with resale homes. One of the most recent headlines I have seen is that we had an inversion where the median price of a new home is lower than the median price of a resale home in the marketplace right now. That's because builders got to get out and they're dropping their prices. They got to do what they got to do. But that inversion has happened before, but I believe it's been close to 10 years since we've seen anything like that, maybe even more. But look at this. You can see pockets in the middle of town that still saw a 3% increase. Longwood, you have Altamont Springs, you have going towards Winter Parks, kind of getting flat. And then again, look at Osceola County. Osceola and Lake, chilly willy, okay? A lot of St. Cloud, Harmony. I've done a lot of warnings for Harmony, folks. I've told people that look, and I have folks that live there that I know personally. I'm like, man, you might want to consider selling if you're concerned about your price versus history and future and all this. Look at this. 6% Harmony is the winner the winning loser, unfortunately. And then obviously, look, you have St. Cloud edge, St. Cloud softening. You start to see it getting a little cold. The danger here, again, is, what does it look like if there's, the biggest thing with Osceola County. Osceola was one of the top counties that had issues. So when you look at the foreclosure data, they made the top 5 counties in the whole state. Okay, the number 6 state in the union for high risk foreclosures, Osceola. And it's not a surprise, okay? Why is Osceola making the list? Because Osceola has a very high number of like first-time home buyer, government backed, government guaranteed. So you have FHA loans, which are first-time home buyer product commonly. It's not just for first-time home buyers, but you got that, you got USDA. A lot of those kinds of loans where the buyer didn't have to put a lot down, okay? So it's doubly dangerous because look at what's going on to the equity. Man, oh man. Okay, so anybody that bought here a year ago, you are locked in, okay? Can't sell unless you take money to the closing table. In all likelihood, everybody's different, but these are tight now, okay? So all this forgiveness we had where you could just throw your house back on the market, it's not necessarily a promise that you're gonna make money and actually sell your house because the cost of sale is going to overrule, okay? Here's a fun home price affordability graph. So what this does is this takes into consideration how much each of the folks make in a current zip code versus the multiplier of the cost of house. So this brings you to a consideration of how overvalued an area is. So all the areas that are in red, those are the areas that might be due for some serious price reconstruction surgery, okay? Again, you got these blinking red lights all the way down here in Osceola. And then you've got one thing I can't reckon on the graph. The sad thing is the people that actually live in this area, what this means, a second ago we were looking to South and 3471. These people make good money, okay? That will affect defaults. So, the reason why you're like, Jared, didn't you just show that there was price declines in these areas? Yeah. But unaffordability isn't creating the nature of this being perceived as overvalued because the people that live here have healthy incomes. So there's an element of poverty involved whenever you start to see a market collapse, okay? So keep that in mind because like you have Groveland still low, these Lake County areas from a perception of overvalue, a lot of them are up there. Like Ostatula is showing 64% above the mark. Apopka, 55.9% above the mark. Pine Hills, 80% above the mark. All right, this is an interesting graph, folks. This shows you where the motivated sellers are. This is the price cut as a percentage, folks. Look at this. So anything over 20%, 25% is starting to become a high percentage chance that people are gonna get more motivated to sell their home. So you have all these outlier areas up here, 35%. So 1 in 3 houses up here in Lady Lake is undergoing a price reduction in order to sell. You can see a lot of areas are not moving through reductions. Some of these areas just need reductions, they're not getting them. So like Winter Garden, people are holding, and 1 in 4 in Winter Garden, 1 in 3 in Windermere, 32819, very low. Remember, these people are all in cash, 19%. So these aren't in very high risk. Look at this. This area is falling like a rock and people have just like decided they're not going to reduce their prices anymore. Sanford's got 1 in 3, just another Sanford zip, 32773, 1 in 3. Oviedo's 1 in 28%. It's getting to become close to 1 in 3, which is interesting because Oviedo's always like one of the heater marketplace, always running hot. 32701, that is Altamont Springs, 37.5%. Got a lot of low reductions in here. These are still low cost areas, cheaper areas. These average price points aren't very high. You're not seeing them come down price. Ocoee is running 1 out of 3 is seeing a price reduction. Again, a lot of this market in Osceola, I don't understand it. I think people are just like hanging on and be like, oh, I hope someone buys my house. There's people calling me from these markets and they're just like on the market forever and they're not reducing their price. They just decided they would stop, and some of them, I mean, like I said, the market is shifting and people are not, if you got to sell, you better start reacting to the market. What's funny is this is the downtown area for St. Cloud and it's at 1 in 3. This is actually a pretty popular area for St. Cloud. I mean, the State Streets, you're living around the water here. It's just, it's just not doing great. A lot of price reductions. So again, the redder the area, if you're watching this video and you're like, I'm moving up here, the more red the area, the more the chance that you could probably come in and work a better deal and come in a little lower. Let's look at for sale inventory year over year. Okay, so this is the one, really kind of the last one I want to end on. I'm going to show you one other graph for kicks. But this particular graph also shows you where inventory is kind of, picking up or where it's the lowest. So these areas in blue, these are the ones that, they're still by and large, we're not running higher market. Okay. So, look at all of them, negative, negative, negative. So most of the marketplace, there's just not extra inventory. Okay. So we're running lower numbers against last year. Lot lower numbers in some cases. Some of these are 46% down and stuff like that. Except for these guys, 3/4. There's a Harmony again. It's up 71%, yet they only reducing their prices like 14%. Like they have one of the lowest price reductions because everybody's like, man, let's look at the down market. I gotta look at the down market graph there. What is the year over year? So it's only 23%. Nope. Hang on. Yeah. So it's only 23%. So down market isn't necessarily aging. I guess people are just basically like, hey, we're gonna hang on. Like look at it, 64 days on market. It's one of the red areas where people are just like aging their house and not reducing it. Again, I don't want to like mock that area. Like you need a great agent if you're listing your house in this area. Like you need a hardworking agent and you need to price your house well. But by and large, like the for sale inventory across the city isn't high. Yet you did see some negative growth. And you saw a couple areas make 2-3% over last year. And the real reason isn't inventory. It's not a glut of inventory that's creating this flat malaise market we have. Buyers can't afford the marketplace. As a result, they're quitting. We know this because the Mortgage Bankers Association is saying we have the lowest amount of buyers applying for mortgages since 1995. That is the lowest buyer approach to market qualifying to get mortgages is nearly 30 years low. I mean, beyond last housing crash, fewer people are engaged in the market now than then. That's epic, folks. We literally are having flatline markets, like beep, like it's dying. Like when I say flatline, I'm saying it's not like it's bad for the seller. It's not really friendly for anybody. It's just not moving. It's just gunked up. It's just frozen. So it's a standoff and sellers aren't really doing much to sell and buyers aren't doing much to buy. And the only thing that's going to motivate this marketplace is falling prices. Falling prices because your cost to buy a house for a buyer is 15% more than a year ago. 15% more. It was high last year and the market went into shock in the fall. It's 15% higher now. And sellers are really trying to demand a flat, even price with what it was. And a lot of that is they're not really reckoning. So you have low numbers in the market for sale. So buyers are like, I'm not interested. This sucks. And a lot of that inventory isn't even that great. And the sellers are just holding on these high prices. Like they're praying they're going to get some number that they saw their neighbors get a year and a half ago. And buyers are just like, I can't even do it. And the tiny slice of the pie they can are, kind of like second guessing their decisions. And then if they could buy the new median price of a new construction house median is less than resale. Like why? The resale market, if the only thing that's going to drive this is lower interest rates, which isn't going to happen because the government's borrowing too much money. The bond market's finally figured out that this game is over. Rates are going up, folks. They're going to get worse before they get better. And the other side of that is recessionary pressure. Sellers have to sell. Sellers get in trouble. That is what I see coming around the bend. Again, I say I see it coming around the bend, but nothing's guaranteed because our government has a candy store called the Federal Reserve and they just go in and plunder it and get some more cash. And if only all of us could have that for our household, right? We're just like, let's just make money out of thin air. Let's spend that too. But we don't do that. Let me show you two more bonus charts that I find fascinating. This is the buy versus rent calculator. This is current data when you have the Census Bureau for what it costs to rent a house in Orlando versus the cost of buying. So this is what it costs you to get a mortgage on the average house, taxes, insurance, and all that versus renting. So right now, renting is about 19.3% lower. So renters are still the winners. And until this piece inverts, it's going to be problems. And by the way, this part right here is higher now, right? So this data point is from July. Rates are a lot higher than July right now. So now the gap between renting and buying is even bigger. It's probably more like $450 or $500. So again, this is the same reason investors have backed off, right? The price is so high. Price is so high, the interest is so high, and there's no profit. Okay. The second thing is, if I'm going to buy or rent, renters are renting, you know? Look at this. This is the crash predictor. Again, this is basically taking a historic line based on Bureau of Labor Statistics, what people make in this area versus the cost of home ownership. So we have the idea that there's a breaking point when the person's income can't afford them a house in the area anymore. Now, look, this is a massive amount of time, okay? This chart goes back to 2007. But if you average all of this out, there is a normal place where the market would live if we didn't have so much money manipulation and interest rate manipulation and all the kinds of things that are going along with it. It is 5.3%. And the difference, by the way, this line is now higher, as I said on the last graph. This data is through July. So interest rates are even higher. So this line's somewhere further than this, meaning that the potential, okay, for the market, there could be 30 to 34% change in price to find equilibrium back to this line. And that means the market could have a very dramatic shift, and it would not take long. My friends, I think this could happen. You could see a 30% shift in price. If it were to happen, you could see it in probably 2.5 years' time, okay? If you look at history, even recent history, and I'm not going to go into it today, but that's it. You could see it even by looking at recent history. There's indicators that would say that that could happen. Thanks for watching. That's the update for this month. If you've been with me this far, please drop a comment below and smash the like button. Biggest way you can say thanks for the content. And as always, I'll talk to you on the next one.